time you start making an X-Men movie,
And get off the bloody chandelier.
you know you're going to use certain mutants that have been used before. But then you have to decide which new mutants you're going to use.
One of my mandates on this movie was to spread it out ethnically more to reflect our audience. We want different powers than we've already seen.
What do you guys want? I didn't do anything.
Characters that look different than we've already seen.
Each character, new or familiar, is an opportunity to do something different.
Thank you.
I just try to find the mutants whose powers are not only interesting, both visually and conceptually, but also that serve the story, that will work together with other mutants and their powers.
If they did something cool enough that you could put it in the film, they stayed. And if you couldn't come up with something cool enough for them to do, then we'd change them out for another mutant.
So it's a real dance. In the post-apocalyptic future, mutants are on the run. They're all soldiers of a sort.
They're not really X-Men anymore.
Sentinels!
They're a group of mutants that have band together because there's just no other option. The Sentinels have taken over and they're destroying everything.
Bishop, played by Omar Sy, is an interesting character.
Sunspot.
He channels power from anything into his body and then redistributes it through a gun that's attached to his arm.
Let's go!
He uses the power from his fellow mutants to actually power him up. You see that energy sort of moving up through his face and charging up his body, and his eyes sort of glow a little bit brighter. And then you see that transfer into his gun, and that's him sort of charged up, ready for action.
He's branded with a M on his eye, which is the symbol if you were in a mutant concentration camp.
Donc Bishop a été une partie de sa vie dans ces camps-là et il s'est échappé.
He's kind of the leader of our group.
Professeur Charles Xavier.
Bishop is the one who gets sent back in time to warn us that the Sentinels are coming. So we can move before the Sentinels attack us.
Ils sont dans une espèce de boucle où ils vivent des choses, ils les revivent, et c'est le seul à se souvenir de tout. Donc je pense que c'est pour ça qu'il a plus conscience du danger qui les entoure.
Ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to play a character like this. I always got the action figures and everything. As an adult, to go back to that and to really feel that out, portray that very physically, it's a beautiful dream, and I'm having a lot of fun.
As Sunspot powers up, he turns into basically the surface of the sun. You'll see it come through his costume. You see the hair burn away and his eyes darken up.
You actually see the boiling texture, there's sort of the arcs of prominence, which are like the sort of little plasma field lines that basically erupt from the surface, and you get these sort of curved arcs that sort of link back down to the surface of the sun, which are really interesting.
He can send out huge sort of plasma bursts of radiation and heat.
There's so many different sounds that fire can make. It can sound big and roaring and that sort of thing, but with a character that's flying by, that doesn't really play.
Not only was he just a ball of fire, but he's also a ball of energy. We wanted to make sure that we felt like he had energy himself and that he projected it by way of flame and power.
He's a very tormented guy, passionate. He's like boiling up always inside. He has this temper. He has to be giving and protecting at the same time and exploding. It's a roller coaster ride for this guy.
You never get to see my character Warpath before any of this. You see him right when he's in the middle of just getting slaughtered and trying to stay afloat. He's mainly the lookout. He warns the group because all his senses are heightened.
There's 12 carriers inbound, 10 miles.
Warpath, played by Boo Boo Stewart, is just a very agile fighter, a Native American.
He actually is an expert on rolling these knives. He has two on either side. They're attached to his back, and he kind of just pulls them out.
Run!
Blink, played by Chinese star Fan Bingbing, throws up portals that can travel you distances, so it's sort of how these characters have been escaping.
可以在敌人射击你的时候，把我的朋友跟同伴跟这些战士 移到另外的一个安全的地方，所以它有这个非常强的超能力，可以移动所有的物体和人，在保护大家跟转移的时候，它有非常大的能量。
The portals become basically windows in space. There's nowhere to hide, there's no distortion, there's no effect. You're looking straight through a hole in space into another set or another background.
And then it'll all go whoop.
From a shooting point of view, it provided great challenges because you're shooting a shot and you're seeing a view of something with a portal in it. Hey! But we also need to shoot the view that's in the portal from whichever angle that it's meant to be at.
The portals were really fascinating. We always had the idea of ripping time and ripping space. The whole sense of it was sort of you hearing time and space rip open. Hey! We took a lot of elements to make the rips, including literal rips, but also there was some really interesting insect things I found in the library that we messed with and changed to give this sort of... There's also a little bit of a tonal element, the sense of it pushing time and space out. We wanted to get in the quality of that as well.
One of my favorite shots is Blink's death in the Moscow Sentinel sequence. You've got a Sentinel throwing Warpath. Blink appears through a portal from another set, so that was one. She throws a portal in front of the Sentinel. The exit appears in the back of the shot. Through the portal that the Sentinels come out of, you can see Blink and Warpath from behind. As the Sentinel turns to stab Blink, you're seeing the same Sentinel action from two perspectives in the same shot.
Blink!
These things get pretty complicated pretty quickly.
What's he done now?
Quicksilver, played by Evan Peters, is this kleptomaniac kid with an attitude.
Quicksilver is insanely fast.
Are you FBI? No, you're not cops. Hey, what's with this gifted youngsters place?
He's kind of ahead of the curve in terms of everybody else.
Well, he's fascinating. He's a pain in the ass.
A little bit ahead of his time because he is so fast.
The only way they can get him to help them is to appeal to his desire for mischief.
So what's in it for me?
You get to break into the Pentagon.
And action. Another really tough, very unique sound that was fun to do was when they're breaking into the Pentagon cell where Eric is being held. We had to create that sense of vibration, a didgeridoo type sound that preceded the smashing glass.
He's a little wired. He's just in his own head a lot. He thinks very fast, he's very quick. Time basically stops for him when he's moving at his top speed.
Don't move! That sort of super slow motion. It's a difficult one to do. It's something that we've seen many times before.
Nobody move! Hold it right there!
Quicksilver's Pentagon kitchen sequence.
As with many of our big action sequences, we pre-visualized everything to a very high level so we could figure out exactly how we needed to tackle each shot individually.
It's a frozen time sequence, but he doesn't freeze time. He's actually just going incredibly fast. So we're freezing time on lots of elements. Utensils move, bits fly up. Magneto's all thrown into the air.
There are these huge lights. I think they take 40,000 watts each.
The set was so bright you'd have to wear sunglasses just to be on the set.
And they take pretty much the whole ceiling. So we gotta just figure out how to route wires through all this stuff so we can motivate all these different stunts.
It's a visual feast in each of these shots. There's a million things we've added. All the rain has been put in, all the drops, muzzle flashes, all been either elements that have been put in there or full CG. We had Quicksilver on another stage at one point, doing all the high-speed stuff on his face and in his hair.
We have Evan, the actor, on a treadmill, do some of that close-up stuff there.
Got the slate running? Okay, start the wind, here we go.
They were blowing massive amounts of air at my face to get it that rippled look. A lot of air. It's like skydiving, you know? It's like you get that. It was fun.
Whoa, that's a good one.
My skin.
How much take have we got left? We're messing with Quicksilver leaving a wake.
As he ran around, he leaves a sort of a rain tunnel behind him, which was kind of cool as well.
Here's a sort of sphere of influence as he's moving through things. There was a challenge massaging that around a live-action plate so it all integrates perfectly.
It's a short sequence, but a lot of really detailed work went into that to get that to look right.
The biggest challenge is to figure out where all these guys would have landed, where all the plates and accessories would have got scattered to, what's broken, what's not. It's a lot of thinking ahead.
Each character has their own arc and their own challenges that they're navigating. Bryan, in his relationship to these characters, to the world, takes us to a different place and reaches a lot further in this film.
He's very good at giving them a good inner life. So each one sort of came for its own reason, for its power, its look.
In some ways, the biggest stress when I was writing was, how do I make these characters resonant enough to earn the actors that we have? They're characters that have almost all had their own spin-off comics, that have certainly all had their own storylines in the comics. So there's a depth of history and experience for those characters.
It's just a beginning of a way to expand and move forward in a myriad of directions with the X-Men universe.
Do me a favor and return it for me.
Okay.
And Peter, take it slow.